I want to talk about a question a lot of you are asking on social media. Is this extreme heat a sign of a climate crisis? We're going to get some perspective on that tonight from Mark Jacobson, who's a professor of civil and environmental engineering at Stanford University. Dr. Jacobson, thanks so much for coming on with us tonight. Would you say definitively that the extreme heat we're seeing is being driven by climate change?
Well, climate change is contributing to the extreme heat. I mean, off the shore of Maryland, for example, the ocean temperatures are warmer, so a sea breeze coming in is going to bring in warmer air. And overall, temperatures over land are 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than they would be without global warming, which is the buildup of greenhouse gases and particles that enhance temperatures. But there are other contributions to the high temperatures. There are longer days. Summer days are longer. June 20th is the longest day of the year, so you have more hours of heating. You have a high pressure system sitting over DC, for example, and that high pressure system, air descends, compresses, and warms, but also it traps air near the surface. So if the ground is heating and then the air is trying to rise, it can't rise in the high pressure system, so the hot air stays near the surface. And then the last thing that really has a big impact on how you feel is the humidity. When you have very humid air, that prevents water from evaporating from your skin, so you can't sweat very well. So that basically makes you feel hotter, and so you get this. That's what gives rise to this heat index, where you have higher temperatures. You feel higher temperatures than the actual air temperature is outside.
I also want to talk about failing infrastructure, and I don't want to necessarily tie two things together here unless that there's any sort of empirical evidence connecting them. Cities are heating up. We know that. Is that potentially contributing to a risk in our infrastructure?
Yeah, well, there's pollution affects infrastructure, like ozone and chemical. There's a chemical in the air that degrades tires and causes flat tires and polluted air. Infrastructure can also, high temperatures can break down rubber and other materials quite easily, and desiccation or drying can also break down materials. It's hard to pin down specific instances of where the higher temperatures are affecting infrastructure. Yeah. But certainly with respect to energy, when you have thermal power plants that require cooling, higher temperatures, for example, are responsible for shutting down nuclear power plants and some coal and gas power plants where they require cooling water and the water temperature is too hot.
Right. A 30-minute answer from you. I'm going to need you to sum up in just 30 seconds here. What can we do? What should we be doing to try to reverse these trends?
Well, in the short term and long term, we need to transition to clean renewable energy to stop emissions of greenhouse gases and other pollutants that cause warming. We can do a lot of things in our own home to do that. We can electrify our homes, try to go from natural gas heaters to heat pumps that run on electricity for air and water heating, air conditioning, try to go to electric cars. Anything you can do to electrify, and then also have your state and local governments try to get electricity from clean renewable energy. That will be the best thing we can do in the near and long term.
Understood. Dr. Mark Jacobson with us from California tonight. Thanks so much for your time.